After accidentally overhearing a dangerous secret, a young servant is forced to impersonate the crown prince's missing fiancé in order to stay alive. Now living as the noble Lady Atienne, she must quickly learn aristocratic etiquette and survive the ruthless palace environment. While struggling through intense training, she also faces rumors, political intrigue, and the prince's terrifying temper. When a powerful noblewoman, Gabrielle, appears and tries to humiliate a maid in front of the crown prince, Atienne unexpectedly stands up to her, gaining the prince's attention. Soon after, she is secretly summoned by the Empress herself. With her life hanging by a thread, Atienne follows the prince into the Empress's palace, where a dangerous meeting is about to begin. The Empress says she does not remember inviting the crown prince. She then adds that even though he is her son, she is sometimes so ashamed of him that she cannot even lift her head. After that, she turns to the girl and says that she has not seen a lady with him for a long time. Ati remembers the prince's words that she should only answer yes. So that is exactly how she responds. Adrian asks why she called the girl. The lady replies that she has no business with him. The guy says that she is his fiancée. The Empress is surprised and asks the maid if she heard it too. The maid confirms that the crown prince did indeed say that she was his fiancée. The woman says that her heart even skipped a beat. She smiles and admits that she never thought she would hear such words from him. The prince says that if she has nothing more to say, he will leave with her immediately. Her Majesty replies that it is time to get to the point. A few days ago, during Lady Gabrielle's visit, when she was briefly away on business, something happened here, and she would like to know what exactly. The young man explains that Ati simply stopped Gabrielle when she was about to hit the maid. The Empress says that now everything is clear. Gabrielle said that Lady Etienne humiliated her, but now she understands that nothing serious happened. The Empress adds that although Gabrielle behaved rudely, she hopes that Lady Etienne will not hold it against her. After all, if you get to know her better, you will understand that she is kind. The main character agrees again. In her mind, she tries to understand in what way exactly this girl is kind. Her Majesty says that she has cared for Gabrielle like her own daughter since childhood. Therefore, she has become very attached to her. And, most likely, they will encounter each other frequently. She would like them to maintain a good relationship. The Empress adds that Adrian and Gabrielle grew up together since childhood, therefore they will continue to meet. She hopes that Lady Etienne will be understanding about this. The girl agrees again. Then the woman says that embroidery has become popular now. At this moment, the main character thinks that so much time has passed that she no longer remembers anything and does not even understand whether she should say yes again. The girl reflects that she has been embroidering for so long that she no longer remembers when it was, almost as if she does not remember her own youth. The Empress says that she would like to see her work one day. She asks if she can count on it. The girl says yes, but in her mind she realizes that it is the end for her. The woman continues and asks if she would mind giving one of her embroideries to Adrian. The young lady agrees again. The mother asks her son if he would like to receive such a gift. The boy agrees. But the main character thinks that he does not really want it at all. Her Majesty says that even though he is her son, he is terribly shy. Then she remarks that the weather is beautiful today and the sun is even too bright. The Empress turns to the lady and says that she is wearing a veil. Therefore, there is no need to worry that she will get sunburned. The girl agrees again. Then Her Majesty suddenly asks if her son Adrian is a little bad. Hearing the question, the girl answers yes, but immediately realizes she made a mistake. She was going to say no. The woman says in surprise that she did not expect such an answer. Then she asks if her son treats her badly. The young lady agrees again. Then the lady asks if he annoys her. Etienne again answers yes. The Empress says she does not understand why he grew up this way. Then she recalls how sweet he was as a child. She notices that the girl's face shows that she does not believe it. At this moment, the main character really does not understand how anyone could believe this, but she agrees again anyway. The woman continues and says that as a child, he spoke very kind words and was incredibly sweet. She admits that she misses those times. The prince asks Her Majesty to skip these unnecessary conversations. His mother asks if he feels uncomfortable. Maybe he even wants to call her mommy again like he did when he was a child. The young man immediately replies that he does not want to. At this moment, the young lady realizes that the crown prince really was kind and sweet as a child. The Empress asks if she feels uncomfortable here. Ati agrees again. Upon hearing this, Her Majesty says that she knew it all along. She claps her hands and says that she really likes her sincerity. The prince looks at his mother in surprise. The Empress asks why he looks so stern. Would it have been better if they had discussed it behind his back? She takes the lady by the hand and says that she used to keep her distance from her. She was a little sad, but now they are finally closer. The woman turns to her son and says that he is not yet mature, therefore he will most likely often be cold. Then she asks the lady to take care of him anyway. Ati agrees again. At this moment, she realizes that by simply saying yes all the time, she has unexpectedly won the Empress's trust. Her Majesty says she has a small request for her. Then, she announces that tomorrow a delegation from the Sirius Empire will arrive to attend her birthday. Among the guests will be her younger sister, Empress Veronica, and Crown Prince Ronan. The woman admits that she was thinking of entrusting Lady Ati with their care. Hearing this, the young man immediately says that he will take care of it himself. His mother is surprised by his words, but the prince calmly adds that if there is nothing more to say, then they will leave. The Empress looks at her son and realizes that he is already trying to take care of her. This thought makes her feel unexpectedly warm inside. Walking down the corridor, the main character asks what is going on. The prince responds by asking if she is asking, because she herself does not understand anything. The girl begins to worry and asks if she has done something wrong. Then she reminds him that he said to answer only yes. At that moment, she thinks again that the danger of falling into an eternal sleep is still close today. Turney, upon hearing this story, smiles and says that Adrian is simply awful and that it's enough to drive anyone crazy. The girl warns him that if he continues to laugh like that, he could end up in serious trouble. Diana says that His Highness looks incredibly cool with a sword. At this moment, he thinks that there doesn't seem to be a single normal person among them. The Marquis asks for a moment and tells him not to move because he has an incredibly important document in his hands. The prince responds irritably, telling him to stop talking nonsense and just get ready to fall into an eternal sleep. Turney reports that he has discovered Essen's location and claims that he is the only one who knows where it is. He then asks if the prince still intends to send him to eternal sleep. Adrian coldly orders him to reveal the location. The young man responds that he will only disclose the information if he is released. At this moment, the main character thinks that he seems to miss a person named Essen very much. Apparently, there is true love between them. His Highness demands to know immediately where Essen is. The Marquis replies that the question was asked so suddenly that he did not even have time to remember, and then he admits that he actually knows nothing. Adrian orders that this scoundrel be caught immediately and brought before him. He then adds that he will sentence him to eternal sleep and throw him away. Diana informs His Highness that the information has indeed been received. However, it is too vague, so it is now being carefully checked. The guy explains that, according to rumors, the man wears women's clothing, so they couldn't find him. It seems that they will have to expand the search and check even the girls. Adrian says that in any case, he must be brought back safe and sound. He doesn't want him to get hurt anywhere. Diana notes that he ran away quite recently, and the prince already misses the knight Essen. The prince quietly replies that he does indeed miss him a little. On the Empress's birthday, delegations from different countries began to arrive at the palace one after another. They all came to congratulate Her Majesty. The Empress's birthday was made an official holiday. The common people prepared to eat, drink, and be merry, and a ball was held in the palace in honor of the holiday, while a huge festival took place in the capital. Etienne thinks that at any other time she would also have gone out into the street to enjoy the festivities. But today is completely different. The prince addresses her and tells her not to go anywhere. Because of the delegation, the palace is too noisy, so she should be careful and try not to be seen by anyone. The young lady asks in surprise why. He replies that he simply does not trust her. She asks if it is not safe inside the palace, but the gentleman insists that she must stay in her room. Ati asks if she can skip the meeting with the delegation. He replies that she can just stay where she is. Then he adds that if she shows up there, without even learning the basics of how the crown prince's bride should behave, she will only disgrace the imperial family. The main character says that she understands and will sit quietly. Then she lies down on the bed and thinks that today's studies are finally over. Since she has a lot of time, she suddenly wants to go to the library. The girl thinks that if she goes there quietly and comes back quickly, everything will be fine and no one will notice her. Suddenly, the young lady notices Knight Diana and asks in surprise what he is doing there. He replies that this is his family, and they usually live on their estate. However, on the Empress's birthday, they also came to the palace, and he had just greeted them. The man with pink hair greets Lady Oviedo and introduces himself as Viscount Benedetto Shishin. At that moment, the girl thinks that if he is a viscount, then he is the heir to the family and the older brother. Benedetto turns to the girl and tells her that she should say hello. At this time, a girl named Acacia quietly greets the lady. The guy apologizes for his younger sister's rudeness. The main character greets her and says she is happy to meet her. The young man gives the little girl a piece of candy, and she thanks him. At that moment, the main character thinks that she simply cannot resist her incredible cuteness. The gentleman says that perhaps this is a little rude. Then he asks where they were going, because it seems to him that they have taken up Lady Oviedo's precious time. Etienne replies that she just went out for a little walk. At the same time, she thinks that she cannot tell the truth about the fact that she was going to study. The little girl suddenly tells her brother that it is her candy and asks why he is eating it. He replies that he thought she had given it to him. The girl explains that she just let him hold it for a moment while she said hello. The lady gently reassures the little girl and says that she has more candy so she can eat it later. Then she asks Knight Diana not to take or eat her sweets. Etienne turns to them and suggests they continue their conversation while she leaves. Then she takes her leave. As the little girl waves goodbye, the lady thinks how sweet she is. The butler announces that the Empress of Sirius, Lady Veronica, and her entourage have arrived. The prince greets the lady and says that it has been a long time since he last saw Her Majesty, Empress Veronica. She responds by suggesting that they leave all these formalities aside. Adrian informs her that his mother is waiting for her inside. The woman smiles and says that she will finally meet her younger sister. The journey was a little boring, but it was still worth it. The prince invites her inside. The woman asks for a moment and turns to Ronan, asking how much longer he intends to sit in the carriage. The boy replies that he will not go. Veronica says that they have already arrived and asks if he is going to eat and sleep right there in the carriage. The Empress looks at the servant, and he immediately gets the hint. He picks up the boy, after which the young gentleman starts screaming and demands to be let go immediately, calling it rude. Ronan asks how he dared to touch a member of the imperial family. He threatens to send him to the scaffold, and again orders him to be released immediately. At this moment, the prince thinks that no one would want to mess with such a small child. The little master notices his gaze and asks why he is staring at him. Veronica asks her son if he thinks he is still in Sirius. She then explains that Adrian is his older cousin and crown prince, and asks him to apologize quickly. The boy turns his head away, clearly showing that he has no intention of doing so. Adrian says it's okay and invites his aunt inside as his mother is already waiting for her. The Empress explains that her son is still young and quick-tempered, so she will apologize for him. The young gentleman says that everything is indeed fine. Seeing the child, the Empress remarks how much he has grown. He used to be the same height as her child. The young man replies that it was a long time ago. Veronica asks him to take care of her Ronan, and if he misbehaves, she even allows him to spank him a couple of times. The maid is anxiously looking for His Highness Crown Prince Ronan. He has somehow gotten lost, and she does not understand where he could have gone. At this time, the boy is hiding in the bushes and watching her. Ronan thinks that no one will catch him. He has been playing hide and seek for many years and is very good at hiding. He even wonders if they will scold him if they find him. The young gentleman reasons that if they call the guards, he will be found quickly. So he decides to go to a more deserted place and quickly runs away. Suddenly, the boy hears a strange sound. He becomes curious because the voice sounds almost like an angel's. Ronan sees the main character holding a white bird in her hands. At that moment, he thinks that he is looking at a real angel. The young man apologizes, and the bird flies away. He asks if she is an angel or a fairy. Atienne calmly replies that it is neither. Hearing this, the boy loudly objects and says that this simply cannot be. The main character thinks that there are no boys of that age in the imperial family of Fiancée. Therefore, she suggests that he may be from the ruling family of another country. The girl recalls that the palace where the guests are staying is located in the south. Perhaps they have just come to the palace of Fiancée for a short time. Ronan says admiringly that accidentally meeting a lady more beautiful than the light itself is a true blessing from heaven. He then asks if she would like to have some juice with him. The lady thanks him for the invitation but says that, unfortunately, she has to decline. Hearing this, the boy asks loudly why. At that moment, the prince appears and replies that it is because she is his bride. Then he notices that Ronan has been hiding here all this time. The young man indignantly says that he is not a child at all and demands to be released. Then he turns to the angel and asks her to save him, because the devil is about to catch him. He even asks her to scold him thoroughly. Adrian says that he is talking complete nonsense. Then he asks the girl what she is going to do. The lady smiles and asks him to treat the child more gently. He agrees and promises to do so. The prince lifts the boy up and puts him on his shoulder, asking if it's soft enough. The kid starts yelling and demands to be let go, calling him the devil. Adrian calmly agrees and says that today he'll be the devil's dinner, so he should consider himself a weak little man. Ronan looks at the lady and asks her to save him. The gentleman reminds her that he already said that this angel is his bride. Then he asks if she knows who this boy is. The young gentleman proudly declares that he is Ronan, the crown prince of Sirius. The main character is surprised and does not understand where the crown prince came from. She begins to worry that she may have said something wrong. Adrian throws the boy to the floor. The child indignantly says that the devil dared to separate him from the angel and calls him Satan. The prince asks if his eyesight is okay. The boy asks in surprise what he is talking about and demands to be taken back to the angel immediately. Adrian thoughtfully says that perhaps it would be best to simply send him back to Sirius. He adds that he will take responsibility and personally send him home. Hearing this, the boy objects and says that he does not want to leave and will stay here with the angel lady. The prince reminds him that just recently he said he wanted to return. Ronan replies that was before he met the angel lady. Turney enters the room and asks in surprise who the little boy is. His Highness replies that he is just one of a kind. The little boy immediately asks indignantly who this man is. The Marquis approaches the prince and quietly whispers in his ear that they have found out where Essen is. Then he asks what they should do now. His Highness asks who else knows about this, and he replies that only he does. His Highness orders that no one else be told, and that they quietly capture him and bring him back. A small reception in honor of the arrival of the serious delegation was held in the main hall of Florence Palace. Although for the imperial family it was considered a casual gathering among relatives, all the high-ranking aristocrats were present. Among them, of course, was Gabrielle. As soon as Adrian heard that she was there too, he immediately took Viola with him. The girl asks if she can go. He replies that she shouldn't take it too seriously, because he doesn't expect anything from her. She just needs to stand there for a while, and then she can leave. Atian asks, in surprise, if it will be dangerous. The prince explains that there is nothing to worry about, as it is just a family party. When the main character sees the huge crowd, she is very surprised. After all, he said it was just a small celebration, but in reality, everything looks completely different. Adrian greets the Empress and his aunt, then apologizes for being late. He explains that it happened because his fiancée is very shy. At this moment, the main character thinks that if she makes even one wrong move, everything could end badly, so she decides to pull herself together and stay calm. Etienne apologizes for the delay. The Empress smiles and says that everything is fine. Then she turns to her sister and tells her that this child will become her daughter-in-law, asking if she looks very elegant. Veronica thinks about how this girl was brought by a guy who seemed like he would spend his whole life alone. Then she says she is sure they will make a wonderful married couple. The prince asks where Marie is. The Empress smiles and explains that she allegedly had a headache, so she left recently. She adds that Marie looked so bad that even when Gabrielle tried to talk to her, she never responded. At the same time, the Empress thinks that maybe she just didn't want to talk. Adrian notices that the Emperor has not come either. He thinks that since they have already appeared at the reception, they will be able to leave after a while. Ronan runs up to the main character and hugs her. Atian greets His Highness the Crown Prince and says she is glad to see him. The boy replies that such treatment makes him feel distant and asks to be called by his first name. The lady objects and says she cannot do so, as it is against the rules. The Empress smiles and says she should not worry, as they are now almost family. Empress Veronica also says that they are not strangers to each other. Then she turns to her son and asks him not to be rude to the future wife of the Crown Prince. The boy calls the lady his sister and says he missed her. Then he asks if she missed him too. Atian reminds him that they saw each other during the day, but he replies that this is precisely why he missed her even more. Ronan takes the lady by the hands and suggests they go play somewhere else. The prince apologizes and lets them leave. The boy asks his sister if she has ever been to the Sirius Empire. She replies that she has never traveled abroad. He promises that if she ever comes, he will definitely show her the Imperial Palace. Meanwhile, the prince watches the main character. When she notices his gaze, she thinks that she must not cause any trouble. Achin says that she will most likely not have the opportunity to go there. But if it ever happens, she will definitely count on his help. Suddenly, the music changes. The boy immediately asks if she will dance with him. When the lady looks back, she notices the prince, who is looking at her very disapprovingly. The lady apologizes and says that it will be difficult for her to dance today. She suggests doing it another time, if the opportunity arises. Ronan sadly replies that he wanted to dance today, but still says that she must agree next time and asks her to promise. Atian touches his little finger with her little finger and makes a promise. The boy asks what gifts she likes. She replies that what she likes most is a long life, because it is truly priceless. The prince touches the lady's shoulder and suggests they step aside. He doesn't understand why she looks so surprised. When they go outside, the main character turns around and notices Diana. He explains that he saw her heading this way, so he followed her. Acacia was with him. The prince says that he did well to do so. The little girl greets His Highness the Crown Prince. Diana apologizes for his brother leaving and for having to look after his younger sister. The gentleman replies that everything is fine and invites them to stay. The main character greets the little girl and asks if they have met before. The girl says she did not expect the lady not to recognize her. Atienne asks if she likes the reception. She replies that it is a little difficult, but overall, everything is fine. The girl adds that if it becomes too difficult for her, she can say so at any time. Acacia agrees and asks to speak with her more informally. The main character asks if she can just call her Acacia. At that moment, she thinks about how she has always dreamed of having such a sweet younger sister. Hearing this, Ronan approaches the main character and asks her to speak to him informally as well. Then he looks at the girl with pink hair and asks why she didn't even say hello to him. Acacia apologized and immediately greeted him as His Highness Crown Prince Ronan. At that moment, he thought about how he had once planned to make his little sister belong only to him. Meanwhile, the little girl was thinking about something else. There was a strange boy standing next to her sister, and she clearly found him suspicious. The children took the lady by the hands, and the prince, watching this scene, smiled and said that she was just a funny little girl. The boy told the lady that he would also call her Ati. She just shrugged and said that she didn't really care. Acacia declared that she would also call her little sister Ati. The boy immediately cried out that he was Ati's friend and told the girl to just go away. The girl with pink hair calmly remarked that they didn't seem particularly friendly. Hearing this, Diana hastened to apologize and explained that his sister wasn't like that at all. The prince said that everything was fine. and suggested leaving the children. After that, he approached Atien, took her by the hand, and quietly suggested that she go with him. Kaguya suggested that the young gentleman simply ask his sister Ati who she was closer friends with, but when they turned around, only Knight Diana was standing there. The girl asked her brother where her sister Ati was. The boy immediately thought that the cunning devil had simply taken her away. At that moment, the prince felt unexpectedly cheerful. He suggested that the lady look at the stars in the sky because he thought they were incredibly beautiful. The main character agreed. Meanwhile, he thought that it seemed like the first time he had seen her smile like that, and at that moment she seemed very beautiful to him. Atien said that His Highness was clearly in a good mood now. After all, just recently he had been angry all the time. The girl looked at the gentleman in surprise and said that she seemed to have said too much, so she apologized. He objected and asked her not to apologize, but simply to hold on until his mother's birthday. Adrian asked if she knew where Essen was. He then added that he would let her live. Lucy noticed that she was indeed getting better every day. Hearing this, the main character asked in surprise if it was true, and thought that after being told she would be allowed to live, she had tried her best to hold on every day. Madame said that she still had a long way to go, therefore she suggested trying to smile a little more mysteriously. The young lady tried to smile and asked if it was okay. The woman shook her head and said it still wasn't enough, so she needed to make her smile more mysterious and a little more graceful. Lucy sighed and said she was very sorry. She had hoped that the girl would succeed today. After that, she suggested that she look closely at her, because that was how a real lady should smile. Etienne looked at the lady and couldn't understand how anyone could make such a facial expression. The woman explained that a skilled noble lady must be able to convey her opinion with a single smile, which means she needs a gaze capable of recognizing such subtleties. Lucy went on to explain that high society was a real battlefield, where people easily played with other people's feelings. At that moment, the main character only wondered if she would be able to master all this. Diana announced that Acacia wanted to meet with Madame Ati. Madame suggested taking a break for about half an hour. The main character asked to tell the little girl that if she waited just a little longer, she would definitely come to her. Lucy told the lady that she thought she must love children very much. In her opinion, loving children is wonderful, but it is still worth being careful, because small children can be very abrupt. When Acacia saw the main character, she immediately said that she had missed her very much. The lady replied that she had missed her too, and thought to herself that this girl was incredibly sweet. Ronan asked if she had missed him too. Seeing him, the lady asked in surprise where he had come from. The guy said that he had not heard Adi's answer. Etienne reminded him that he should call her sister, but the boy returned to his question and waited for an answer. The little girl said that her sister couldn't possibly miss him. He immediately replied that he wanted to hear the answer from her, not from someone else. Acacia explained that she had simply said it for her. She was sure that her sister was kind, and would have said she missed him out of politeness anyway. Besides, she felt the same way, so she could easily understand. Ronan asked the girl if she really meant that she missed him a lot. The girl with pink hair immediately protested loudly, and said that was not the case. At that moment, the main character thought that, at first, it seemed to her that they liked each other, but now she is sure that these are just ordinary children's quarrels between future friends. Lady asked the children if they had become friends. The boy immediately objected and said that he would never be friends with such a little girl. The girl replied that he was no better himself and then decided it was better to stop there. Atienne told the children that she had brought them cookies and asked who wanted to try some. Hearing this, the children immediately perked up. Lady added that she had plenty of cookies, so they could take as many as they wanted. The main character looked at the children and thought for a moment. She wondered if she would feel the same way if her youngest child were alive. Then she asked the children if the cookies were tasty. Ronan said they were too sweet and that he wouldn't normally eat them. But then he added that the cookies were still delicious because Ati had given them to him, and took another one. Lady thought that he clearly liked them. At that moment, the little girl with pink hair asked her sister if she liked His Highness the Crown Prince. The main character was confused for a second because she didn't really like him. So she said that His Highness was a pretty sensitive guy, and then added that the most important thing in men is to pay attention to their character and humanity. Acacia said she understood what she should pay attention to. This was really valuable advice for her, because no one had ever told her that before. In the evening, lying in bed, Ronan thought that it all seemed strange. They hardly ever met, and after several days of observation, he noticed that most often only Turney and Diana sought out Ati. The boy thought that if that man really loved her, why didn't he come to see her more often? After all, he himself missed her so much every day that it seemed as if he might fall into an eternal sleep. His mother said that it was a terrible plan and asked what he was up to again. The boy began to explain that it wasn't really like that. Meanwhile, the main character stood next to the prince and couldn't understand why they had been summoned so suddenly. The Empress said she had heard an incredibly sad story. The prince immediately asked what nonsense she had heard again. His mother remarked that he was speaking too rudely, and then added that she had been told that they had quarreled. Adrian asked if she had done something wrong again. The main character immediately replied that she had done nothing wrong. The Empress explained that many people say that the bride-to-be and her fiancé looked too gloomy. She had always been proud of them and hoped that among people who consider marriage to be just a deal, they would become a couple who sincerely love and care for each other. Her Majesty added that she herself had once loved her husband. They got married without paying attention to their families, and it seemed like a real miracle. Therefore, she was glad that Adrian had also found his other half and was ready to accept anyone, as long as that person sincerely loved him. The young gentleman asked where she was going with this. His mother explained that people say they don't even hold hands, and then curiously asked if they had kissed. Hearing this, the main character was confused and didn't know what to do. She wanted him to say something, because if this continued, she would surely fall into an eternal sleep from excitement. And suddenly she declared loudly that they had kissed. Etienne looked at the prince and quietly said that he shouldn't be so surprised. She asked him to nod quickly, as if it had really happened. The girl explained that of course they had kissed. They just did it in a place where no one could see them. The young man asked in surprise how they could show such things to other people. The Empress said she didn't even know about it. The young lady quickly explained that she was very shy, so she kept her distance from His Highness in public. Apparently, this was the reason for the misunderstanding. Etienne added that she wanted to maintain the status of the Crown Prince's bride with dignity. Hearing this, Her Highness said that these were commendable thoughts, and thought to herself that this girl was usually so frightened that she trembled all the time. After talking to his mother, the prince asked when they had kissed. The lady calmly replied that they never had, and explained that the Empress was just worried. Then she asked if she had done something wrong. The young lady looked at the prince and noticed that he had that same expression on his face again. Normally, she would not have paid any attention to such a lie, but for some reason, she kept thinking about it. Adrian asked if she had ever kissed anyone. She replied that she had not yet had her first kiss. Hearing this, he was surprised and said that he would escort her to Lily Palace. The prince held out his hand to the girl and asked if she would take it. The lady thought that since she had heard these words, her anxiety had not been in vain. She remembered that it had been the same before. What seemed difficult to her was easy for His Highness, and he probably just took her hand without any feelings. The girl thought that she hated her habit of hoping, even though she knew that these hopes were in vain. She apologized and asked why His Highness hated Lady Gabriel so much. Adrian asked if she still didn't understand, even after seeing her. The girl replied that it seemed to her that he had some other reason. The guy explained that the girl was cruel and selfish. She only thought about herself and didn't care at all that others might fall into an eternal sleep. Moreover, he believed that many people were no better than Gabrielle. At that moment, the main character thought that he loved someone else. She didn't understand why it upset her, but she still said that she hoped he would soon find his true bride. Adrian thought that she was so upset about being just a substitute. The girl asked in surprise if she had said something wrong, because she didn't understand why her words had ruined his mood so much. Lucy said that today they would be studying the rules of etiquette during tea parties. This is one of the most basic and at the same time most difficult areas in high society. The woman explained that there are usually whole lines of personal relationships at tea parties. According to these unspoken rules, people drink tea, exchange information, and even express their feelings towards each other. But suddenly, Lady Gabrielle approached them and greeted them. Lucy immediately asked why she had come to Lily Palace, since one could not enter without an invitation. Gabrielle replied that she had received permission from Her Majesty the Empress. She had come only because she wanted to tell them something important. Atty asked in surprise what exactly it was. The blue-haired lady said that she had heard an unpleasant rumor in the palace, that recently the two of them had not been on the best of terms. She asked if this was true. The main character immediately understood that she had come specifically to hurt her with these words. So she objected and said that this was, of course, not true. Gabrielle smiled and said there was no need to pretend. But the main character firmly stated once again that this was a lie. At that moment, the prince approached them and asked what was going on. Gabrielle immediately turned to him and asked if His Highness had come here to meet her. Adrian immediately replied that this was not the case at all. Ati turned to the guest and asked if she could stay here for so long, since it seemed that she had nothing to do. The blue-haired lady said that, in fact, everyone was constantly looking for her because she was very busy. Then she said that it was late and she had to leave, but next time she would definitely stay longer. Etienne thought that the rumors about their distance had spread too far. She was upset that she might be dismissed. After all, she was just a maid. But Etienne was not. The main character decided that she was the Crown Prince's fiancée and had to prove it right now, before Gabrielle left. So she turned to the prince and told him to kiss her quickly. His Highness was surprised and reminded her that she had said it would be her first kiss. The girl replied that everything was fine, and in the next second, he kissed her on the lips. At that moment, the young gentleman thought that he was only going to pretend. But he did not expect kissing to be so pleasant. When Lady Gabriella saw them, she thought that her Adrian was kissing another girl. She was overcome with rage and decided that this slut would definitely regret daring to touch her man. The main character watched the maids and thought that they were probably discussing their kiss. She wondered if all kisses were so pleasant, or if it was only because the crown prince was handsome. Lucy turned to the lady and reminded her that the Empress's birthday celebration was just around the corner. Therefore, from now on, she would have to spend her days in much more rigorous preparation. The woman explained that this was a very important event, which would be attended by many foreign delegations. Therefore, it was obvious that she had to look so beautiful that everyone would fall in love with her. Adi asked if it was even possible to pull this off. Hearing this, the madam exclaimed in surprise and said that, of course, it was possible. Lucy showed her the dresses and said that they had all been specially made to order for Lady Ati. At that moment, she thought that she hadn't dressed anyone but Mr. Essen in a long time. Madame said that today they would choose dresses, tomorrow they would look at accessories, and the day after tomorrow they would pick out a fan and shoes. The girl thought that after all this, she probably wouldn't be able to recover. On the day of the celebration, Lucy looked at the girl and said that she knew she was right. Then she asked if the lady liked her look. The girl replied that she felt as if it wasn't her at all in the mirror. The woman reminded her that she had said the young lady would be incredibly beautiful and suggested that she go and conquer everyone there. Ajin said that there would surely be many beautiful ladies in the hall besides her. Hearing this, the woman was surprised and asked if she really did not trust her skills. Then she suggested that if it was difficult for her to get used to this image, she could ask His Highness for his opinion. The crown prince looked at the lady and she asked in surprise what was wrong. He simply said that she looked good. The girl was a little disappointed because she had prepared so diligently, and he said only that. Turney approached Ati and asked if she had finished getting ready. Then he said that she was so beautiful that at first he didn't even recognize her. Adrian placed his hand on the girl's shoulder and told the guy to take his hands off her. The Marquis just smiled and said he just wanted to see how he cared for his partner. The gentleman replied that he should stop talking nonsense and get out of his way. The guy said he was leaving and wished them a good time. The young lady thought that the day had finally come. If she did well, she would be able to continue living. The butler announced the arrival of the stars of the Empire, His Highness Crown Prince Adrian, and the future Crown Princess, His Highness's bride, Lady Oviedo. The young gentleman took the girl by the hand and told her to come with him. He added that everything would be fine, because she had prepared so diligently. The main character looked at the man and thought that among all the people she had to deceive today, the most important one was Emperor Apennino Calromano. The Empress invited them in and said that a place had already been prepared for them. She thought that the couple looked lovely as always, and then told the girl that she looked especially beautiful today. Ati thanked Her Majesty and thought that the Empress had said only one word, but it conveyed true greatness. The Emperor watched them silently, then said that they could leave and that they should marry as soon as possible, as the Empress wished. The main character thought that she had been so nervous, but everything had gone smoothly. The prince noticed that they were drifting apart a little, and his mother said that she did not know what had happened between them, but now they looked much better than before. Achen thanked her, and the Empress wished them a pleasant evening. The girl thought that she had survived, she had not been exposed, and she was still alive. The prince turned to the lady and told her to do her best. At that moment, his aunt approached him, said that they hadn't seen each other in a long time, and asked if he was doing well. Ronan approached Addie and asked her to dance with him. The girl was confused, but he reminded her that she had promised to dance with him next time. Veronica turned to her son and asked if he would go somewhere with her. They needed to congratulate his sister on her birthday. The main character thought that she really couldn't relax at all. She was already terribly tired, but she understood that this was only the beginning. Suddenly, Ati noticed Princess Marie. The girl approached her brother and greeted them both. Adrian immediately suggested leaving formalities aside and asked what had happened. The princess said that her brother had been ignoring all her messages in recent days. He immediately objected and said that he had not been ignoring her at all. Marie reminded him that she had asked him about the disappearance of one of her maids. Adrian asked in surprise if it was necessary to discuss this right here and now. The princess replied that she would visit the Poinsettia Palace later. She hoped that he would give her his attention, and then wished her sister a pleasant evening. The main character thought she hadn't understood anything from this conversation. Meanwhile, the prince thought that if she had understood everything, he would have to get rid of her. The girl felt as if she were standing on the edge of a precipice. The only consolation was that, as long as Adrian was nearby, people did not come close, although they were still whispering actively around them. Etienne heard people talking about how she used to seem taller, but now she seemed shorter. The young lady thought that she had deliberately worn high-heeled shoes, and she became anxious, wondering if she would be so easily exposed. The girl decided she had to keep her composure. At that moment, the prince quietly told her to look at the floor. Turney turned to Ati, but the prince told her to pretend she didn't know them. The guy came over anyway and asked why she was avoiding him. The girl replied that it was because he had walked right through the middle of the dance floor. The main character became curious about the man he had come with. The prince turned to the Marquis of Oviedo and remarked that they hadn't seen each other in a long time. At that moment, the girl realized that he was Turney's father, and therefore her father. The dark-haired guy quietly prompted her to call him dad, and she thought with surprise that he was really asking her to call him dad. The gentleman watching decided that the girl did not seem to have the warmest relationship with her father, and the prince quietly said that if she did not do everything as she should, she might fall into an eternal sleep. The young lady quickly hugged the man and called him dad. Then she joyfully exclaimed that they hadn't seen each other in a long time, and she had missed him very much. The Marquis noticed that she had lost even more weight. The girl said that she was very tired, but suddenly realized that she had said the wrong thing. Then she quickly added that she was just trying very hard. At the same time, she thought that everyone around them was watching them. Suddenly, the prince took the lady by the hand. At that moment, Lady Gabrielle appeared with her father, who approached the Marquis and greeted him. The main character realized that His Highness was still watching her closely. Gabriel turned to the prince and said that he couldn't take his eyes off her, and that his passionate gaze was making her feel uncomfortable. The lady with blue hair turned to Mr. Turney and declared that there was no point in him looking at her like that, because only His Highness was in her heart. Hearing this, the guy thought he couldn't believe that she had made the prince and Turney look so serious. Adrian told the girl that she must be tired of standing for so long. Then he added that for the sake of his bride, they had better change places. After that, he turned to the Chancellor and said that they would see each other again next time. Diano approached His Highness and said that he had been looking for him for a long time. The Lord replied that he had come at just the right moment and asked him to put on a displeased expression to scare away all the curious onlookers. The main character thought that it had finally become quieter around her. But suddenly, she noticed a girl with blue hair and realized that she had followed them after all. Gabriella said that she had also come to relax a little. Then she turned to the lady and asked what gift she had prepared for Her Majesty the Empress's birthday. Ati remembered Turney's words that their family would take care of the gift and deliver it on her behalf. Besides, Adrian was going to give a gift with her, so there was nothing to worry about. The young lady replied that this time, she was preparing it together with His Highness the Crown Prince. Later, she was going to present the gift to the Empress separately. Gabriella smiled and said that no matter how rare her gift was, it still couldn't compare to her own. The prince watched the lady and thought that he had not seen Gabriella with such an expression on her face for a long time. The lady with blue hair said there was nothing she could do. Since they were so interested, she would have to tell them. Meanwhile, the girl thought that she hadn't asked anything like that at all. The Duchess announced that her gift was the work of the Master Virgin. It was a set of plates, and everyone knew that all of his works had long been sold out and were almost impossible to obtain. Gabriella added that Her Majesty had a hobby, collecting plates, and among them she especially loved Virgin's works. The main character thought this was strange. She was sure that she was seeing these plates for the first time, but at the same time, she had a strange feeling that she had seen them many times before. The Duchess said that getting such plates was a real stroke of luck. Hearing this, the prince quietly suggested that Ati simply ignore her. Gabrielle turned to His Highness and declared that she would be his partner for the first dance. At that moment, he turned to the girl and asked if she would give him her first dance. The main character looked at the lady with blue hair and thought that she would not cry now. Gabriella said that he was so sweet to her that she was even afraid of becoming jealous of other ladies. Hearing this, the young lady did not understand at all what was going on in the Duchess's head. The lady with blue hair said that he who laughs last laughs best. After saying this, she just smiled and left. Adrian asked the girl if she had laughed. Ati replied that she had not. At that moment, music began to play in the hall, and the prince and the girl began to dance. The main character thought that she did not want to be the center of attention at all, but the people around them parted and made room for them to dance. She knew she had no right to make a mistake. His Highness quietly told her to relax a little, and she remembered her first dance lessons when she constantly stepped on her father's and younger brother's feet. Suddenly, the lady realized that she had stepped on the prince's foot. She mentally called herself stupid because everything had gone perfectly during training. Diano approached His Highness and said that he wanted to report some news. Princess Marie had just returned to the palace, and Her Majesty the Empress was still at the celebration. The main character thought that everyone seemed to have forgotten that she had just stepped on his foot. Diano also added that Turney had gone to see off the Marquis of Ephesus. The prince told the lady that it was time for them to leave too. Hearing this, she was surprised and wondered if it was really possible to just leave the celebration. As she descended the stairs, the girl thought about how she had worn heels that were too high. She had even danced in them, so now her feet hurt terribly. Adrian noticed that she was having difficulty walking. Without hesitation, he picked her up and asked if she could walk at all. The lady said that she seemed to have sprained her ankle. The gentleman thought it was no surprise that she had run out of energy after walking in such high heels. It seemed she was simply exhausted. The main character did not understand why she felt so strange. It seemed to her that it was all just a mirage, and she was even afraid to take an extra breath. The girl thought that if she made even one wrong move, he might disappear. The prince suddenly realized that he couldn't see the girl in front of him, and for a second thought that he was being haunted by a ghost. Atian didn't understand what was happening to him. He was acting very strangely, and it seemed to her that perhaps he didn't like something today, even though she had tried so hard. After that, she quietly said that it was probably time for them to go back. The prince decided that she was not feeling well. He picked her up again and suggested they continue on. At that moment, the girl felt as if she was about to fall into an eternal sleep from excitement.